Linkin Park began in 1996 as the rap-rock band Zero. After lead singer Mark Wakefield departed in '98, lead vocalist Chester Bennington joined and the band was renamed Hybrid Theory.
I grew up in Arizona. A few guys were talking in Texas at South by Southwest. One of them knew me. He was partners with the guy who knew them. And it was at that time where, they were like, we really need to find a singer because these guys had a lot of energy and excitement about them at that time.
After Bennington joined, the group released a self-titled EP. Legal complications prompted a second name change, this time to Linkin Park.
When we started the band and we chose the name Linkin Park, we chose the spelling. There's a rumor that we chose it because we want to be next to other bands, another band in particular in the CD rack, which is utterly ridiculous. We wanted the domain, we wanted the .com. And it was really early on for that to be important to anybody, but we knew that if I tell you what the name of my band is, that you can go there and go to .com and find it easily.
Despite the name change, the band struggled to sign a deal. After failing to catch Warner Brothers records on 3 previous reviews, Vice President Jeff Blue helped the band sign a deal with the company in 1999. The band released its breakthrough album, Hybrid Theory, the following year. The debut album represented half a decade's worth of the band's work and was a massive commercial success. Selling more than 4.8 million copies during its debut year, Hybrid Theory earned the status of best-selling album of 2001, while singles such as Crawling and One Step Closer established themselves as staples among alternative rock radio playlists.
When the record came out, we were just hoping that it would sell I think Chester had the highest bid of it selling, what was your bid, 8,000 records, and all of us didn't have any idea how many it was going to sell. We knew that there was some kind of hype. It came out and sold 46,000 copies the first week, and we just were dumbfounded.
That was probably the first point we just threw up our hands and said, okay, all bets are off.
Everything you say to me, one step closer to the edge, and I'm about to break. I need a little room to breathe, 'cause I'm one step closer to the edge, I'm about to break.
Hybrid Theory won a Grammy Award for Best Hard Rock Performance for the song Crawling and was nominated for Best New Artist and Best Rock Album. The lyrical content of the songs primarily touches on the problems that Bennington encountered during his childhood, including child abuse, drug and alcohol abuse, as well as the divorce of his parents and isolation.
If you listen to Hybrid Theory, it was intentionally very rigid and segmented. The thing that was special at the time was to make rock and sample-based music smash together in a way, and in doing so, we wanted to make the rock more sample-like.
There's something inside me that pulls beneath the surface, consuming, confusing.
MTV awarded the band their Best Rock Video and Best Direction awards for In the End.
Like Chester said, there's a lot that has to do with timing. We can't ignore the fact that that was a time when pop, just bubblegum pop, was selling huge, and people like ourselves were sick of it.
The music of Hybrid Theory draws from diverse inspirations. Bennington's singing style is influenced by acts such as Depeche Mode and Stone Temple Pilots, while the riffs and playing techniques of guitarist Brad Delson are modeled after Deftones, Guns N' Roses, U2, and The Smiths. Mike Shinoda's rapping techniques draws inspiration from The Roots. Selling over 10 million albums in the US, Hybrid Theory is in the RIAA's top 100 albums and is listed in the book of 1001 albums you must hear before you die. It was ranked number 11 on the Billboard's Hot 200 Albums of the Decade and has sold over 24 million copies worldwide, making it the best-selling debut album of the 21st century.
It doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all. But in the end, it doesn't even matter.
Following the success of Hybrid Theory and Reanimation, Linkin Park spent a significant amount of time touring around the US. The band officially announced the production of a new studio album in December of 2002.
We were actually sitting in the bus, and our driver had put out this travel magazine that had a feature on this place called Meteora. And we were looking at the pictures and we were just like, man, what is this place? The pictures just had this epic quality to them and this sense of timelessness.
Meteora features a mixture of the band's previous nu metal and rapcore styles with newer, innovative effects and instruments, including the Japanese bamboo flute on the track Nobody's Listening. Linkin Park's second album debuted on March 25, 2003, and instantly earned worldwide recognition, going to #1 in the US and UK and #2 in Australia. The band won the MTV Awards for the Best Rock Video for Somewhere I Belong and the Viewer's Choice Award for Breaking the Habit. Meteora sold more than 800,000 copies during its first week, and it ranked as the best-selling album on the Billboard charts at the time. Linkin Park also received significant recognition during the 2004 Radio Music Awards, winning the Artist of the Year and Song of the Year with Numb. The album singles included Somewhere I Belong, Breaking the Habit, Faint, and Numb. The song Session was nominated for the 2004 Grammy Award for Best Rock Instrumental Performance.
Breaking the Habit, for example, Mike was writing that song and really wanted it to be something, and like kind of like went back to like thinking, well, maybe I'll just make it like an instrumental, because he couldn't quite get the melody and the lyrical content to like fit the vibe of the music. And then like one day out of nowhere, it was like downloaded. He brought it in. He's like, dude, last night it happened, and so check out this melody and check out these lyrics. And I sang it, and I was like, this is where I want the band to go. And this is what I want to deliver, because this is so good and it's so different, and it represents what we can do in such a cool way.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is gonna be our last song. I'd like to direct your attention to Rob Borden behind the drums. You've been fucking great tonight. Thank you very much.
As of 2012, the album has sold over 16 million copies worldwide and is certified 5 times platinum by the RIAA. Meteora was also ranked number 36 on the Billboard's Hot 200 Albums of the Decade. Although Meteora was not nearly as successful as Hybrid Theory, it was the third best-selling album in the United States during 2003. Linkin Park returned to the recording studios in 2006 to work on new material. For the band, Minutes to Midnight marks a beginning of deviation from their signature nu metal sound.
When we first started working on this album, I was excited to see where it would go. I knew that I wasn't going to be happy kind of just doing a continuation of what we'd already done before.
When we initially started to think about making this record, in our minds we wanted to try something new.
What we were kind of preparing ourselves for was to try and redevelop
the sound of the band from every aspect, which was kind of a scary thought.
We were looking back at the things that we had done in the past, you know, Hybrid Theory through Meteora, and I think we just figured that we had exhausted that sound. It was easy for us to replicate, it was easy for other bands to replicate, and we just needed to move on.
We didn't want to lose anything that people might enjoy about the band, but we also didn't want to, you know, make a trilogy. We didn't want to make another album that sounded, you know, like what people would expect.
Deciding to shift the musical direction of the band, Linkin Park separated with Don Gilmore, who had produced Hybrid Theory and Meteora, and went with Def Jam Records founder Rick Rubin.
As far as Rick Rubin, we wanted the right guy to help us facilitate what we were trying to accomplish, and we didn't know what that was.
Rick has done so many records that are just amazing, you know, just ridiculous stuff. Some of the records that he's done have been really influential to me, like, you know, Raising Hell by Run DMC, Blood Sugar Sex Magic by the Chili Peppers.
Rick's way of working is a lot different than anybody that we've worked with in the past.
It feels like, you know, when he was going into a lot of those projects, it was like throw out the rule book and make music.
He would initiate conversations as far as like, you want to do it this way, you've done that before. Why don't you think about doing it another way?
He kind of gets in there and says, all that stuff that people say you are, you don't have to be that. And if that's in your head, if you think you have to be that, then that's not true either.
He said, I want you guys just to forget what the Linkin Park sound sounds like and just go and just write music and write whatever you like. Just write it. That's what we did. We just started writing ideas, not thinking about what it should sound like, just writing whatever came to our minds.
Well, it actually comes from a special I was watching on the History Channel. It happened to be about the Doomsday Clock. You know, they kept saying like 5 minutes to midnight in whatever year, you know, and it moves back and forth. The idea of midnight being like the ultimate, like the end of all time, or it could be like the end of, like with the band, like the end of one era and the beginning of something new.
When my time comes, forget the one that I've done. Help me leave behind some reasons to be missed. And don't resent me. And when you're feeling empty, keep me in your memory. Leave out all the rest. Leave out all the rest.
Minutes to Midnight is Linkin Park's first album to feature guitar solos. There's also a significant decrease in Shinoda's rapping presence, something that was a staple in Meteora and Hybrid Theory. Also unlike the previous two studio albums, Minutes to Midnight contains profanity, being the band's first studio album to contain a parental advisory and politically charged lyrics.
Someone pour it in, making a dirt dance floor again. Say your prayers and stomp it out when they bring that chorus in. I bleed it out, digging deeper just to throw it away. I bleed it out, digging deeper just to throw it away. I bleed it out, digging deeper just to throw it away. Just to throw it away, just to throw it away. I bleed it out.
Our writing process is a little bit different, I think, than what is normal, and we do function a little bit more like a kind of like a studio project, almost like in a sense, like Rick compared it to like a hip hop production. We don't ever sit in a room and kind of jam to write songs. Early on, we're all kind of passing around hard drives, we're writing individually and in pairs and just getting ideas out. So with that, I mean, 7 hard drives in the band, one being the community hard drive. On those 7 hard drives for this album, there's upwards of 150 songs.
With the band's new direction, Shinoda and Delson teamed up with composer David Campbell to add string elements to 6 of the album's songs.
We're going to be recording strings on 6 songs today. Okay. We're starting with Drum Song today, which is probably the most special song on the record to some, and I think the strings are going to make it even more excelente.
I consider Chester one of the best singers of our time. I mean, that's not just being in the band with the guy. I would challenge anybody to sing the stuff that he sings, to cover the song and make it sound anything like him. You can't do it.
The album debuted at #1 in the United States and in 15 other countries, including the UK and Canada. In the US, the album had the biggest first-week sales of 2007 at the time, with 625,000 albums sold, going on to be certified double platinum in the US. Minutes to Midnight's first single, What I've Done, became the top-ranked song on the Billboard's Modern Rock Tracks and Mainstream Rock Tracks chart. The song is also used in the soundtrack of the 2007 action film Transformers. In May 2009, Linkin Park announced they were working on a 4th studio album to be released the next year. Shinoda told IGN the album would be genre-busting while building off of elements in Minutes to Midnight. Wanting to experiment further with their sound, the band acknowledged that the album would be an even more drastic departure than Minutes to Midnight from their previous work.
There's stuff in here that seems to point at a fear of kind of like destroying ourselves.
We didn't set out to write an album about something. We wanted to write something that was more creatively and artistically presented as a single album that's meant to be listened to from beginning to end.
You say you're not gonna fight, 'cause no one will fight for you.
The result was a multi-concept album dealing with human fears such as nuclear warfare. The album title comes from the Hindu Sanskrit scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. A Thousand Suns references numerous social and human issues, drawing inspiration from father of the atomic bomb J. Robert Oppenheimer, Martin Luther King Jr., and Mario Savio. Samples of notable speeches from all three are included in the album.
And part of the way you created it is through automatic writing, because that's how you get to be artistic, and we have a goal, but it's not a hard goal, and we just sort of let things just happen and you get into your subconscious, right?
If you've never seen it done or if you've never done it yourself, it's kind of, I feel like it's a little hard to imagine. This record, I feel like some of the music went super, like even further into the mechanical, but we wanted the lyrics and the human element to be as human as possible. So the automatic writing allowed for that.
Every part of our lives, even conversations, are automatic. For some reason, when you play a track and you're supposed to think of a melody and then think of words that go with that, all of a sudden, all of that natural being vanishes, and it takes you out of being just normal and being natural and puts you in a very unnatural place.
Cannot be reconciled when wisdom, justice, and love.
1,000 Suns has been compared to Radiohead's third studio album, OK Computer, as well as their fourth album, Kid A. The style of 1,000 Suns has also been noted to parallel Pink Floyd's eighth studio album, The Dark Side of the Moon.
I want it to feel challenging. I think it's fine to have verse, chorus, new part, outro.
You're a genius.
That's exciting to me. Verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, outro is not exciting. That's lame.
Verse 1, chorus. Here's what it is. Verse 1, chorus. Verse 2, chorus. New thing, dance thing. And then dance thing B that plays the same chord progression as the chorus, but has a new sound. Then you'll feel like you've gotten that theme back.
I understand that.
Personally, I never think about the future. I don't think it exists. You know, it's not relevant to me. What may or may not happen in a hypothetical world that doesn't exist. And so, and none of us think that way. Like, we're not so premeditated that every move we make is a calculated, decisive measure.
If people imagine that before you make a song, you think of the song and you plan, it's like planning a road trip. Like, I'm gonna end up over there, and this is how I'm gonna get there, and this is what it's gonna sound like, right? If you listen to one of our songs and imagine somebody coming up with that before they execute it, like, we'd have to be geniuses.
You take a lot for granted when you're like listening to a record that you know is world famous at this point. Yet that at one point it was just a crazy idea that one artist had sitting in a room. It comes out and you kind of go, well, that'd be different.
A Thousand Suns was released on September 8, 2010, and met with mixed reviews, polarizing critics and fans over the band's new direction. Despite the criticism, the album was a commercial success, debuting at #1 on over 10 charts.
You have to have the kind of, some kind of sense of, I don't know, willingness to just go with something that's different and weird, and kind of put yourself out there in order to stand behind that.
Linkin Park's fifth studio album, Living Things, was released June 20th, 2012. After being in a more experimental phase for A Thousand Suns and Minutes to Midnight, the band decided to return to more familiar territory.
I think the fans can expect this record to be simultaneously familiar. I think it touches on a lot of the bases that we've done with our previous 4 records. I think it's a good, comprehensive blend of where we've been over the last 10 years, and also our look towards the future.
Combining elements from all 4 of their previous studio albums, Living Things avoided political themes and is their most personal album to date.
The new album was a situation where when we stepped up to the microphone and started to listen to the music and see what it drew out, a lot of it was very just personal. It's about people and it's about relationships in many cases, and that's kind of where the title Living Things came from.
Living Things incorporates big walls of sound with heavy electronic and guitar work, going back to the band's roots while staying away from the new metal sound they became famous for.
Mike and I come from such different perspectives when we're writing a song. We're approaching songwriting lyrically from 2 totally different places. That for us, that automatically kind of brings in multiple layers. Songs can have multiple meanings. There's a theme about being human that runs through all of the songs on this record. And so, whereas A Thousand Suns was really kind of a dark, digital, apocalyptic point of view of the world, we really dealt with just the human stuff on this record. I absolutely think that, I think we're more passionate now than we were in the beginning. I mean, there's a different kind of perspective on what that is. I mean, when you're young and you've never gone through the experience of what it's like to make a record and have it be successful and tour and win over audiences who have never seen you before, there's something about that experience that you can't just mail it in, That's something that you have to work for, so it requires a different type of passion. I think by not just being complacent and making the same album over and over again, we've kept that passion alive within our band. And so, I think we're just as excited about going out right now, putting out Living Things as we were when we were, babies, putting out Hybrid Theory for the first time.
Refusing to be labeled one-dimensional, Linkin Park has pushed itself to experiment with their sound over their 12-year existence. The band's musical evolution has been met with mixed feelings by fans and critics alike. However, its members were fully aware of the consequences before deciding they would rather constantly challenge themselves as musicians than remain stagnant.
When you feel you're alone.
It affected me in a very personal way, where I was just like, wow, I felt like a fan listening to the songs and like getting an emotional connection.
That's a great feeling,
and
too.
when I was in the studio trying to sing it, I was crying. And when I try, when we were learning how to do it, perform the song live, I would break down and I'd be like, I don't know if I can actually sing this freaking song, because it's connecting with me on a way that a fan that I would be crying watching my favorite band sing this part of my life, and the similar way that I felt when I met Robert Smith, for example, and tried to explain to him how important his music was to me. You get that. I was like, and I'm in my band. Like I should,
I love that, and I love that you also you support causes like you did the PETA thing. Basically, don't wear fur. Do you get do people come out and say, hey, that's not cool for a guy in a band to do?
Never at all. There are lots of critics of Linkin Park out there. We're not for everybody.
Right.
And, there are people out there who can find anything about whatever we do and find a way to pick a hole in it. And that's fine. We don't really care. But for me and for the rest of the guys, like, to say a statement like, I cry when I have a connection to a song, or when something really intense and special happens, the birth of my children or something. It's like, that's a human thing, and that's what we talk about in our music, and that's what makes I think what we do special. And getting behind causes like PETA, for example, where you're standing up for creatures that don't have a voice for themselves, and you see the kinds of things that happen to these animals with no regard to like their existence or what they're feeling. Like, it's nice to do that kind of stuff and to help out your community and give back. I mean, we live a really, we're blessed to be able to do what we do for a living. Like, we get to play shows around the world, and people pay a lot of money to see what we do, and we live these really great lifestyles, and my kids have a great life, and none of that would be possible without our fans and without people supporting what we do. And it's not because what I do is so special that we deserve to be in this place in the world. We work hard at it. We're thoughtful. We pay attention to our fans. We support each other as a band. We've always been close friends, and we work through our differences, and that's what makes what we do, I think, intriguing.